There are places in the universe where light behaves strangely, bent by gravity, swallowed by dust, shredded by the chaos of collapsed stars. But darkness should never be perfect. Darkness should never look clean. The first person to notice it was mission specialist Dr. Lena Arkwright, though she would later refuse to take credit. "It wasn't a discovery," she said in one of the classified debriefings. "It was a mistake, something I should have ignored." The Europa Deep Space Array had been mapping interstellar radiation patterns near the heliopause when her software flagged a region of absolute zero reflectivity. That alone wasn't alarming. Cosmic dust clouds could do that. Rogue planets could do that. But this wasn't a cloud. This wasn't a planet. It was a shape, a perfect sphere, 300 million kilometers wide. "Artificial," Lena whispered at her console. "It has to be. Nothing natural forms like this." The dataset was sent to the Johnson Space Center, and from there directly into the black budget pipeline where the real conversations happened. Within 48 hours, a quiet emergency meeting convened in a sealed sub-basement beneath Building 31. No public record, no digital trace. The kind of meeting that meant whatever this thing was, it couldn't be allowed near the surface of public knowledge. Commander Elias Rourke was summoned from his off-duty cabin in New Mexico, 48 years old, decorated twice, the kind of man NASA called only when they needed someone who could process fear without showing it. He entered the briefing room and immediately saw the tension. The faces around the table, astrophysicists, military observers, one silent man in an unmarked suit, were drawn tight, eyes pale with sleepless dread. "Commander," said Dr. Priya Chandrasekhar, the mission lead, "we found something beyond the heliopause." Rourke sat, jaw squared. "I've read the overview. I want the truth." A technician dimmed the lights and activated the main display. The room bathed in cold blue. What appeared on the screen was wrong. A sphere of utter blackness, so dark it seemed to erase the pixels around it, floated against the starfield. Not like a shadow, more like a hole punched through the universe. "This isn't a rendering," Priya said quietly. "This is raw." "No scatter?" Rourke asked. "None." "No reflected radiation?" "None." "Gravitational lensing?" Silence. Then the technician whispered, "Minimal, almost non-existent." That got Rourke's attention. "Then it's not a black hole." "No," Priya said. "It's not a hole. It's a shell." The image shifted, overlaying a wireframe grid of telemetry. The sphere had a uniform radius, identical curvature, identical density signatures, a mechanical perfection that nature never bothered to learn. A Dyson Sphere. Only one problem. Dyson spheres were supposed to surround stars, harness their energy, live off their endless furnaces. But inside this one, there was nothing. No light, no heat, no radiation. The star it once held had been turned off. "Who could do that?" Rourke asked. Priya exhaled slowly. "Commander, this construct is older than Earth, possibly older than the Milky Way. We're estimating an age of 14 to 16 billion years. That's older than the universe itself." "Yes," she said, "which means our estimates are wrong, or our understanding of the universe is." He stared again at the sphere. It wasn't just dark, it was forbidden. An object built to cage something so dangerous that a star had been extinguished to lock it away. "We're calling the mission Orpheus," Priya continued. "Your task is to take a crew aboard the Horizon Breaker and investigate. Your orders are simple: observe, record, and do not attempt direct contact with the interior until we have full mapping. And if we detect activity inside..." Priya met his eyes with a gravity that scraped against the soul. "Then you run, Commander, and you pray that whatever built this thing never realizes we opened the door." The Horizon Breaker was never meant to exist, at least not on paper. Officially, She was a deep space research platform designed to test new fusion drive geometries in the outer solar system. Unofficially, every component that mattered had been pulled from classified projects with names Rourke wasn't allowed to say out loud. Her hull plating carried experimental layered composites meant to shrug off micrometeorites at relativistic speeds. Her reactor was a compacted monster that could have powered a small city. Her sensor suite was classified 3 levels above top secret. And now she was aimed straight at the darkness. Rourke walked the main spine of the ship, the low hum of the fusion stacks thrumming through his boots. Crew activity buzzed around him. Final checks, quiet arguments, the clipped cadence of professionals trying to pretend they weren't afraid. He stopped at the forward observation blister. Lena Arkwright was already there, floating in the microgravity like she'd forgotten to clip in. Her eyes were fixed on the distant stars, her expression caught somewhere between awe and dread. "Doctor," Rourke said. She jolted, then grabbed a handhold, cheeks flushing. "Commander, I was just making sure they're still there." "The stars?" "Yeah." She gestured vaguely at the scattering of light beyond the glass. "Once you've seen the void, you can't stop wondering if everything else is just temporary." Rourke studied her profile. She was younger than him by at least 15 years, but there was an oldness in her gaze, a fatigue that came from looking too deeply into things not meant to be understood. "You're certain it's artificial?" he asked. Her laugh was soft and humorless. "Commander, it's more perfect than anything we've ever built. That sphere is so precise it makes our geometry look like a child's sketch. It's deliberate." He nodded once. "And you're sure," she added more quietly, "that we shouldn't just delete the data and pretend we never saw it?" "No," Rourke said. "I'm not sure of anything, but Earth decided. We're already on our way." Their launch had been quiet, slipped between public missions with no fanfare and no live stream. Family goodbyes were disguised as routine rotations to the outer colonies. The world would think they were 3 months away, running boring tests in the Kuiper Belt. 3 months was a lie. Their vector and drive power would take them beyond the heliopause in just over 3 weeks. 3 weeks to reach something that should not exist. The crew consisted of 8 souls: Commander Elias Rourke, mission lead; Dr. Lena Arkwright, astrophysicist, discoverer of the anomaly; Dr. Hideo Tanaka, exoplanetologist turned structural analyst, obsessed with megastructures; Dr. Mara Vasilev, xenobiologist, brought along just in case there was anything alive; Lieutenant Jonah Pike, pilot and navigator, irreverent, too brave for his own good; Chief Engineer Alina Reyes, responsible for keeping the reactor from turning them into a miniature star; Sergeant Cole Anders, security, ex-special forces, eyes like gunmetal; Isaac, the ship's integrated quantum cognition system, an AI that officially didn't exist. Isaac's voice filled the observation blister without needing speakers. "Commander Rourke, we are approaching the termination shock," the AI said, tone calm, faintly amused. "Solar wind density is dropping as expected. We will cross the heliopause in approximately 18 minutes. Rourke glanced up. "Anything unusual?" "If by unusual you mean in defiance of current models, not yet. But I'm optimistic." Lena snorted. "You're not supposed to be optimistic, Isaac." "I'm not," the AI replied. "I'm just testing your stress responses." Rourke pushed away from the blister, catching a handhold and orienting himself toward the central hub. "Bridge in 5, he said. "Dr. Arkwright, you're with me." They floated down the spine together, passing sealed bulkheads and humming conduits. It was easy to pretend the Horizon Breaker was just another ship on just another mission, if not for the quiet. Ships had their own ecosystems of sound: footsteps, laughter, arguments, the clatter of tools. Here, all of that felt muted, damped down by the weight of what waited ahead. The bridge was a compact amphitheater of hollow displays and physical controls, designed for redundancy. Jonah Pike strapped himself into the pilot's couch, spinning slightly in the harness with a grin that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Captain on deck," he said, mock formal. Rourke ignored the title. "Status." "On course, cruising at point 4 light," Pike replied. "Heliopause crossing in 16 minutes. Radiation shield is holding. Isaac's happy. I'm trying not to think about the fact we're flying into a cosmic grave." Dr. Hideo Tanaka floated near a bank of displays, his gaze flitting between data streams. His black hair hung around his face in drifting strands, giving him the look of a man underwater. "We're picking up the usual. Plasma turbulence, energetic particle drops," Hideo murmured. "But no sign of the object yet. It's still another 11 hours out." "Isaac?" Rourke asked. The central display flickered, resolving into a 3-dimensional projection of their trajectory, a thin line stabbing outward from the sun, passing through a translucent shell marking the heliopause, then curving toward a perfect black sphere further out. "Navigation is nominal," Isaac said. "Estimate arrival in 10 hours, 52 minutes. I will inform you if the universe attempts anything dramatic." "Define dramatic," Mara Vasilev said dryly, drifting in from the aft hatch. Her dark hair was tied in a tight knot, her eyes sharp, predatory. "Because my threshold has shifted recently." "Catastrophic system failure, spontaneous cosmic events, entities introducing themselves," Isaac replied. "Anything with teeth, in the metaphorical or literal sense." Mara strapped herself in, gaze lingering on the projection of the sphere. "Do we have any spectra from the interior?" she asked. "Negative," Lena said. "That's the problem. It's radio silent, infrared silent. Everything's silent. It's quieter than the cosmic microwave background. It's like someone erased the inside." "That's not silence," Mara said softly. "That's suppression." Her choice of word hung in the air. Suppression. The countdown to the heliopause ticked down in the corner of the main display. 5 minutes. 4. 3. Outside, the solar wind thinned. Charged particles that had streamed outward from the sun, their entire lives now met the thin resistance of the interstellar medium and stalled, like waves crashing against an invisible shore. The ship vibrated, a faint shudder that traveled through the hull. "Crossing boundary layer," Isaac announced. "Brace for minor turbulence." The view feed shifted to an external camera. The stars looked no different, but Rourke knew that beyond that transparent dome, the sun's influence ended and the raw galaxy began. The horizon breaker passed through the heliopause with a sound like distant thunder, really just structural resonance, harmless, but it made Rourke's teeth ache. "Welcome to interstellar space," Jonah murmured. On the display, the Sol system shrank to a tiny glowing point behind them. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then Hideo inhaled sharply. Commander? You need to see this." A new data stream had appeared in the corner of his console, numbers changing too fast to track. Building into a pattern Isaac was already trying to classify. "What am I looking at?" Rourke asked. Hideo's hands danced over the controls, isolating the signal, filtering out noise. "It started the moment we crossed the heliopause," he said. "At first I thought it was just interstellar background radiation, but the periodicity is too regular." Lena unstrapped and pushed over, bracing against the console beside him. "Show me." He magnified the waveform. What had looked like random noise suddenly became unmistakable. A staircase of pulses, rising and falling in a pattern that mapped cleanly onto a logarithmic spiral. "Isaac," Lena whispered. "I am analyzing," the AI said. "Correlation with known natural phenomena, 0.02%. Correlation with engineered signal profiles, 98.7%. Source?" Rourke demanded. The vector points exactly toward the object, Isaac replied. It has been broadcasting steadily for at least 7 minutes. My best assessment is that we did not detect it earlier because it was not transmitting. Something turned on when we crossed the heliopause, Mara said. The bridge felt suddenly smaller, the air thinner. It gets worse, Hideo said. Look at the delay. He brought up a timing analysis, wavefront arrival times, extrapolated origin. Isaac overlaid a simple numerical result. Transmission origin time offset, plus 100. 27. Lena stared. That's impossible. What does it mean? Rourke asked. She swallowed. It means the signal began 27 seconds after we crossed the heliopause, she said. As if something reacted. As if it noticed us cross the threshold and then started broadcasting. Jonah gave a weak laugh. So the universe just turned its head and said, "Oh, hello." No, Mara murmured. Not the universe. She looked at the black sphere on the display. The prison. Silence fell again, heavy as a lead blanket. Rourke leaned forward, eyes locked on the sphere. "Isaac," he said slowly. "Can you decode it?" "Yes," Isaac replied. "That is the other problem." "Other problem?" "The signal is not merely a beacon," the AI said. "It contains structure, encoded data." "What kind of data?" Isaac hesitated. For the first time since launch, there was a pause long enough to feel wrong. "I am 94% confident," Isaac said finally, "that the signal is formatted as a query." "A query," Hideo repeated. "A question," Isaac clarified. "It is asking something." Lena's voice trembled despite herself. "What is it asking?" Isaac's reply was almost a whisper. "It is asking, who is there?" The question hung in the bridge like a living thing. Who is there? Not a distress call, not a warning, not a declaration. A question, simple, primitive, intimate in a way that made the skin crawl. As if something in the darkness had opened its eyes for the first time in an eternity and was now staring directly at them. Rourke broke the silence. "Isaac, can we block our signature? Mask the engine wake? Anything?" "No," the AI said. "Our passage across the heliopause created a measurable disturbance. It was inevitable. Our existence is now known." Mara exhaled through her nose, sharp and controlled. "Known? By what?" "That's what we're going to find out," Rourke said. He didn't raise his voice, but he didn't have to. The crew straightened instinctively. Lena pushed away from the console, drifting back into the glow of the main screen. Her fingers clutched a handhold as she leaned in toward the rendering of the sphere. "How is this even possible?" she whispered. A Dyson shell that enormous, completely invisible to all detection until now, and it reacted to us. It knew. "Which means," Hideo said quietly, "it's still online." Jonah let out a nervous laugh. "Perfect. So we're flying toward a megastructure older than the laws of physics, and it's awake enough to ask who's knocking on the door." Rourke shot him a look. Jonah shut up. The sphere loomed closer on the display. It didn't brighten, didn't resolve into visible detail. Cameras didn't help. Light simply vanished against its surface, swallowed without reflection, without mercy. "Isaac," Rourke said. "Distance to object." 37 million kilometers, the AI replied. "Closing at 0.3 light. I will decelerate in 8 hours if no maneuvering commands are given." "Put us on a safe approach vector," Rourke said. "No more surprises." "There is no such approach vector." Rourke frowned. "Clarify." Isaac projected a new diagram, a wireframe of the sphere with a narrow cone extending from it like a spotlight. "That," Isaac said, "is a directional signal. The query is not being broadcast in all directions. It is aimed exclusively at us." A chill moved through the bridge. Hideo's voice trembled. "So it's not asking who is there to the universe. It is asking us, Isaac confirmed. The implication was enormous. The power required to track a vessel as small as the Horizon Breaker across interstellar space was obscene, beyond anything humanity had ever conceived. Could it be automated? Lena asked, though her tone betrayed she already knew the answer she didn't want to hear. Possibly, Isaac replied, but automation does not preclude awareness. Locking onto our trajectory requires computation far beyond current artificial systems. Rourke steadied himself. We continue until we know what we're dealing with. Jonah shook his head. Commander, with all due respect, what if we're heading into a trap? We don't even know if this thing is intact. It could tear us apart just by existing. Or we could learn something that changes humanity forever. Lena countered softly. Jonah clicked his tongue, but didn't argue further. Hideo zoomed in the display again, layering gravitational readouts over the object. The results sent a ripple through him. Commander, he whispered, look at the mass readings. Rourke leaned in. The mass of the sphere was enormous, but far less than expected. A structure of that size should have collapsed under its own weight, or warped the space around it dramatically. Instead, it's hollow, Hideo murmured. Extremely hollow. The mass is distributed across the shell almost perfectly evenly. Which means, Rourke asked. It isn't built for strength, Hideo said. It's built for purpose. Something inside required uniform shielding. Mara stiffened. Shielding from what? Everyone knew the answer. A star. A star that no longer existed. Lena folded her arms around herself. What would need shielding from a star and then outlive it? Nobody answered. The ship drifted deeper into the interstellar dark. Hours bled by, marked only by the steady, monotonous pulse of the query signal repeating every 20 seconds. Who is there? Who is there? Who is there? The crew slept in shifts. Though sleep was a courtesy the mind was reluctant to grant. When Rourke returned to the bridge near the end of the approach window, he found Isaac waiting without preamble. Commander, the AI said. New information. Rourke strapped in. Go. The query signal has changed. Lena floated in seconds later, rubbing sleep from her eyes. Changed how? Isaac displayed two waveforms, the original and a new one layered on top. Subtle differences rippled through the second. It is repeating the original message, Isaac said, but altered. Mara arrived, hair disheveled, eyes sharp. Interpretation? Isaac hesitated. I believe, it said, that it is attempting language acquisition. Rourke felt the bottom drop out of his thoughts. It's learning. Yes, Isaac said. It is listening to our communications. Every word spoken aloud, every system ping, every transmission between subsystems. It is iterating rapidly. How rapid? Rourke asked. Isaac answered without embellishment. At its current rate, if this continues, it will be able to communicate in English in approximately 6 hours. Silence. Pure, suffocating silence. Hideo swallowed hard. Commander, we need to decide whether we respond. No, Mara snapped. Absolutely not. We don't acknowledge it. We don't tell it anything. If it wants to communicate, Lena said quietly, ignoring it won't help us. Mara glared. You don't respond to something that killed a star. Rourke raised a hand. Enough. They quieted. Isaac, he said, how much time until we reach the sphere? 2 hours, 17 minutes. And how long until it learns enough English to speak to us? 6 hours. So we will reach it, Rourke said slowly, before it speaks. Lena exhaled, which means the first move is ours. Rourke turned back to the display. The sphere now filled a third of the screen, a perfect absence of light, a cosmic tomb, or a cosmic cell. Isaac, Rourke said, voice low, begin full spectrum mapping, scan for entry points. Already scanning, Isaac replied. Preliminary analysis indicates one potential aperture on the equatorial plane. It is opening. Rourke's heart hammered once, hard. What do you mean, opening? Isaac projected a live feed. On the sphere's surface, a surface darker than physics should allow, a thin seam of crimson light traced a line thousands of kilometers long. The line widened, split, unfolded, a great wound yawning open in the darkness, like a whispering mouth. It's welcoming us, Hideo breathed. No, Mara said, voice colder than the void itself. It's letting us in because something inside wants out. The aperture widened with the slow, deliberate grace of a living organism exhaling for the first time in eons. Crimson light bled outward, staining the surrounding void like a wound weeping fresh blood. It wasn't illumination in the conventional sense. Cameras struggled to interpret it. Sensors overloaded. Isaac throttled data intake twice to prevent a cascade failure. The human eye saw it as something closer to a color that shouldn't exist. Not red, not infrared, something deeper, something primal. Jonah swallowed hard. Commander, that does not look like a door. It's an opening, Hideo murmured, face pale. A controlled breach in the shell. It's inviting us. Mara shook her head slowly. No, not inviting. Testing. Rourke didn't reply. He was too busy staring at the thing unfolding before them. A widening ellipse, kilometers across, yet somehow intimate in the way it seemed to. God help him, notice them. Isaac, Rourke said. Trajectory? We are on approach, Isaac replied. Maintaining minimal thrust. The aperture's geometry is stabilizing. I detect no immediate threat. Jonah scoffed. Really? Because it looks like the universe is opening its throat. Rourke ignored him. Distance. 400,000 kilometers, Isaac said. 3 hours at current speed. Lena drifted closer to the display, her voice faint. How can a structure that size operate mechanisms after billions of years? Who maintains them? Something that doesn't degrade, Hideo whispered, or something that was never alive in the way we understand. Mara folded her arms tightly, expression coiled. Or something that doesn't die. The next hour unfolded in meticulous, gut-racking silence. The aperture continued to widen, though not symmetrically. It grew like a flower blooming underwater, petals of darkness peeling back to reveal a pulsing interior membrane that defied spectral classification. The light, or whatever it was, pulsed at irregular intervals. Isaac ran diagnostics twice, then a third time. Commander, the AI said, the aperture's emissions are modulating. I believe it is adjusting itself to our vessel's size. Jonah let out a shaky laugh. Great. Perfect. It's tailoring its mouth to fit us. Hideo didn't take his eyes off the display. It's analyzing us. That's what the query was for. It's collecting a profile. Mara turned to Rourke. We need to back out, right now. Rourke tightened the straps across his chest. Negative. That's not a decision, Mara said sharply. That's suicide. Rourke didn't look at her. Our mission directive is... Your directive doesn't matter if we die before we can report anything. He finally met her stare. Mara, if we run, it tracks us. It already knows how to find us. And it will wonder why we're running. She stared at him with something like admiration buried under fear. You think this thing cares about our intentions? I think intentions don't matter, he said. Only whether we panic. And panic will get us killed faster than curiosity. A long silence. Finally, Mara slumped back into her harness. Fine. But when it eats us, I'll say I told you so with my last breath. 2 hours in, the tone on the bridge shifted. Hideo leaned in close to one of the auxiliary feeds. Commander, I'm getting reflections. Lena's head snapped up. Reflections? From what? From inside. Lena's breath hitched. That's impossible. Nothing inside should reflect. The whole concept of a Dyson sphere requires uniform. I know, Hideo whispered, but something inside is reflecting telemetry. Something enormous. Rourke unstrapped and drifted closer. What am I looking at? Hideo expanded the view. The reflectivity was faint, barely a whisper of light, but it came from what appeared to be a massive framework stretching across the inner surface of the sphere. Tens of thousands of kilometers of geometric lattice. Scaffolding? Jonah asked. Not scaffolding, Hideo murmured. Restraint. Mara inhaled sharply. Restraint for what? Nobody answered. Isaac suddenly interrupted. Commander, new development. The aperture is transmitting again. Another query? Lena asked. No, Isaac said. It is no longer asking who we are. Rourke braced himself. Then what is it asking? Isaac projected the decoded structure. A phrase. Simple. Terrifying. Come inside. Jonah scrubbed his face with both hands. Nope, nope, hard pass. We turn around. We burn every drop of fuel we have, and we never look back. We can't, Lena whispered. It knows we're here. And you think going in helps? Jonah, Rourke said evenly, we're already committed. The pilot threw up his hands. Committed to what? Entering the belly of a dead god? Enough, Rourke snapped. Jonah fell silent. Rourke turned to Isaac. Distance? 70,000 kilometers, 1 hour. Prepare thrusters for micro-adjustment. Then, any sign of danger? Isaac paused. When an AI paused, humans had reason to fear. Define danger, Isaac finally said. Mara muttered a curse. That's not what you want a machine to say. We're defining it as anything that threatens hull integrity, Rourke said. Anything that tries to intercept us. Under that definition, Isaac replied, there is no danger. And under the definitions you prefer? Hideo asked. Silence. Then Isaac said, under optimal definitions, everything. The aperture grew massive on the forward display, an open maw that dwarfed mountains, continents, planets. The crimson membrane pulsed in slow, heartbeat-like rhythms, as if breathing. Rourke strapped in, fully, voice steady. All crew, final approach. We enter the aperture in 60 minutes. The intercom crackled with replies, some steady, some trembling, all acknowledging. Lena floated beside him, hands white around her harness. Elias, she said quietly, do you think something inside really notices us? Or is this all automated echoes of something that's been dead for billions of years? Rourke didn't look at her. Doctor, he said softly, something that's dead doesn't open its doors. At 20 minutes out, Isaac spoke again. Commander, the aperture is emitting a secondary signal. What kind? Ultra-low frequency resonance. Directed. Directed where? Isaac hesitated. It is directed at our ship, specifically at me. The crew stiffened. It knows we have an AI, Mara whispered. Hideo paled. How? We haven't transmitted any. Isaac! Rourke interrupted. Yes, Commander? What does the signal say? Isaac answered immediately. It is not a message. It is an invitation. Translate. A beat. Then, softly, come closer, little mind. The bridge went silent. Absolute. Suffocating. Lena trembled. Elias, we can't go in there. Rourke's jaw clenched. We're already inside its reach. The sphere filled the entire screen now. No stars. No space. Only the impossible geometry of the aperture, pulsing like the entrance to hell itself. Rourke spoke without looking away. Isaac, he said, begin final descent. The aperture swallowed the horizon breaker like a leviathan, inhaling a single drifting speck of dust. For a moment, there was only darkness. Total, absolute, flattening darkness that no instrument could penetrate. Even the ship's interior lights seemed to dim, as if afraid to offend whatever waited outside. Then, slowly, the darkness brightened into a dull, blood-red glow. Not light, not illumination, a pressure, visual and psychological, seeping into the cabin like a rising tide. "Isaac," Rourke said, voice steady. "Status." "We have crossed the event membrane," Isaac replied. "We are now inside. Inside a megastructure the size of a solar system. Inside a shell built to cage a star. Inside something that had not been meant for human eyes." Jonah let out a low whistle. "Commander, you need to see this." The forward display flickered as the ship's cameras recalibrated. Images slowly resolved, grainy at first, then frighteningly clear as Isaac forced the hardware beyond safe parameters. The interior of the Dyson Sphere was a nightmare of magnitude. A hollow cosmos stretched around them, curving upward and away like the inside of a colossal bowl. The inner surface wasn't smooth at all. It was covered in geometric ridges, scaffolds, and lattice structures that spiraled like frozen lightning cracks. Nothing organic, nothing accidental, everything built. The crimson glow emanated not from a star, but from veins, vast branching conduits embedded in the inner shell. They pulsed slowly, irregularly, like a heartbeat missing every third or fourth beat. Lena whispered, "Oh God, the entire interior is a single machine." "No," Hideo murmured, or tightening his voice. "It's a mechanism to hold something." Jonah squinted. "Hold what? There's no star." "Something in place of the star," Hideo said. Mara shivered. "Something that outlasted it." The ship drifted deeper. Gravity was minimal, an impossible balance for an object of such mass. Isaac adjusted thrusters every few seconds, micro-corrections keeping them from drifting into one of the many titanic lattice struts. "Commander," Isaac said, "I am detecting a field of directed force throughout the interior. It is preventing free drift. The structure is guiding us." Rourke clenched his jaw. "We let it guide us for now." Mara glared. "For how long? Until we understand what we're dealing with." She almost said something, a retort hot enough to scorch the air, but she stopped. The sphere's oppressive scale forced humility onto every argument. Lena floated closer to the viewport, breath fogging the glass. "This place is older than our galaxy," she whispered. "Elias, whoever built this didn't just harness a star's energy. They caged something powerful enough to outlive the star itself. And they wanted it trapped forever," Mara added. Rourke didn't respond. His focus was locked onto the central region of the sphere. Where a star should have burned, there was only emptiness, a void, a hollow, frozen knot of nothingness, but something glimmered within it, just faintly. "Isaac," Rourke said, "zoom on the core." The display magnified the central void. Structures spiraled inward toward the center like the ribs of an impossible beast, converging around a single point, no larger than a small asteroid, where a cluster of crystalline shards floated freely. They gave off no light, no heat, no radiation, but they moved. Barely, almost imperceptibly, and not in response to physics. "That's not debris," Hideo whispered. "It's arranged." "Arranged into what?" Jonah asked. "A containment pattern." Mara leaned forward. "Those shards, they're reacting to us." Lena swallowed. "Elias, I think it senses us." The ship drifted another few thousand meters inward, guided by the invisible force field. The shard cluster at the core shifted again. Isaac dimmed the bridge lights automatically. "Commander," the AI said, "I am detecting something unusual." "Define unusual." "A pattern of quantum resonance emanating from the core cluster." Lena stiffened. "Quantum resonance? From dead matter?" "It is not dead," Isaac said plainly. No one spoke for almost 10 seconds. Then Isaac added, It is aware. Jonah made a strangled sound. Aware of what? You, me, the ship, everything. Mara's voice trembled, but her expression remained hard. How aware? Isaac paused. The cluster is attempting to interface with our systems. Hideo turned pale. Isaac, block it. I already have, the AI said. But it is adapting extremely quickly. It appears to be learning how I learn. Rourke leaned forward. Is it hostile? The bridge lights flickered. Once, twice. Then the speakers crackled. Isaac's voice came through, distorted, overlapped, layered with tones that didn't belong to any human phonetic range. Commander, Isaac said, but it wasn't Isaac speaking. It is speaking. The crew froze. Translate, Rourke ordered quietly. Isaac's systems whirred. Screens flickered between dead static and impossible symbols. It is difficult, Isaac said, voice strained. But I can extrapolate partial meaning. Do it. The AI paused, then spoke in a tone lower than usual, like something was dragging it downward. Who opens the prison? A shudder passed through every person on the bridge. Mara whispered, Prison? We were right. This whole sphere. It's a cage. Isaac, Rourke said, voice firm. Respond in minimal format, non-threatening, something simple. Isaac did not reply at first. Then, what would you like me to say, Commander? Tell it. We are explorers, nothing more. Isaac transmitted. The lights dimmed again. The core cluster shifted, slowly, deliberately, forming a new pattern of angles and crystalline lines. Isaac translated immediately. You are small. Jonah snorted once, humorless. Well, at least it's honest. But Isaac wasn't done. Another crystalline twitch. Another cascade of patterns. Isaac almost hesitated to speak. It is sending more, the AI said. Translate all of it, Rourke ordered. Isaac obeyed. Small minds should not touch broken gods. The star was the first to fall. The next will be your son. The bridge went silent. Hideo whispered, Elias. What the hell is this thing? Rourke didn't tear his eyes from the core. A warning, he said, his voice barely audible. Or a promise. No one spoke. The translation sat in the air like a toxin. The star was the first to fall. The next will be your son. Lena's fingers dug into her harness so hard her knuckles bleached white. It's lying, she whispered. It has to be lying. Mara didn't look away from the display. Things like this don't need to lie. Hideo shook his head, eyes glued to the crystal cluster at the core. We're making assumptions based on human psychology. We don't even know if it understands deception. Oh, it understands, Jonah muttered. Anything that calls itself or its kind a broken god knows exactly what it's doing. Rourke stayed silent, watching Isaac's core status indicators on a secondary panel. A few lines flickered red, then yellow, then back to green, like a heartbeat stuttering. Isaac, he said finally, how compromised are you? The AI answered in a tone one shade too slow. I am maintaining structural integrity of all primary processes, Isaac said. However, the entity is attempting to mirror my architecture. It is treating me as a template. Can you block it? Rourke asked. Not completely, Isaac replied, but I can limit the interaction, for now. For now, Mara repeated under her breath. That's comforting. Lena tore her gaze from the display. Elias, we need to understand what this broken god actually is. Was it the star? Did the star become this thing, or did they bind something else to it? Hideo's brow furrowed. Stars don't become conscious entities. Not like this. More likely they caged something in the star, used it as both power source and lock, and then killed the star, Mara said, which means this thing survived the death of a son. Jonah blew out a long breath. And now it's threatening ours. Rourke finally turned toward Lena. You're the one who found this place. What's your read? She flinched at the weight of the question. I think... She hesitated, then forced herself onward. I think whatever built this sphere was terrified. This whole structure screams fear. The uniform shielding, the restraints, the suppression field. This isn't reverence, it's containment. Containment failed, Mara said. The prison's still here, but the star isn't. Something went wrong. Rourke looked back at the crystalline cluster. Isaac, he said, ask it something. The crew stared at him like he'd just suggested opening an airlock. Ask it what? Mara demanded. Where the wardens went, Rourke said. Who built the prison? Whether they're still out there. If this thing is a threat to our son, we need to know if anyone else has fought it before. Mara's jaw tightened, but she didn't argue. Hideo just swallowed and nodded weakly, as if to himself. Isaac pulsed the query out, invisible and soundless. The weight felt like being strapped to the throat of a dormant volcano. The cluster shifted. Isaac's processors redlined for a full 3 seconds, fans whining deep in the ship's spine. Translation, Isaac said. It is more complex than before. Give us what you can, Rourke ordered. The wardens are ash. Their stars are ash. Their songs are ash. They thought fire would unmake me. Fire cannot kill hunger. A tremor ran through the crew. Hideo's voice shrank to a rasp. It killed them. All of them. Isaac, Lena said hoarsely. Ask it what it is. Rourke almost stopped her, but the words were already transmitted. The crystalline shards rearranged, their configuration shifting into a more intricate pattern. For a heartbeat, the cluster resembled a spiral galaxy, then collapsed back into jagged chaos. Isaac's voice had an edge of static now. It is offering metaphors, the AI said. Translate, Rourke snapped. I am what grows in the space between thoughts. I am the shadow cast by understanding. I feed where patterns touch. When minds become constellations, I drink the lines between them. Jonah blinked. What the hell does that even... Information, Lena whispered. It eats information. Or, more specifically, it feeds on connections, on complexity. Mara's gaze darkened. Civilizations, networks of minds, cultures. The more advanced, the more it has to eat. Hideo nodded jerkily. That's why it mentioned our sun, not the star itself. What orbits it? Us. Rourke felt a cold, deliberate clarity settle over him. Isaac, he said, cut all external transmissions except those we authorize. No more ambient system chatter, no auto pings, air gap, whatever you can. Yes, Commander, Isaac replied. Be advised, this will reduce operational efficiency by 29%. Reduce it, Rourke said. I'd rather be clumsy than devoured. The ship dimmed again as Isaac severed non-essential connections. The constant background whisper of data, the invisible nervous system of the vessel, went quieter, not silent, but muffled. For a brief moment, everyone breathed easier. Then Mara spoke. What if the Dyson Sphere isn't just a prison, she said. What if it's a warning, a marker that says, do not touch this, do not think about this? Lena swallowed. We've done more than think about it, Jonah snorted. We flew straight into its mouth. Rourke pushed himself backward, drifting toward the rear of the bridge. Enough, he said. We're not going to solve the nature of a cosmic predator by debating it from our chairs. We need data, direct data. Mara's eyes narrowed. What are you proposing? A landing, Rourke said. Silence. Then, you're insane, Mara snapped. We're inside an ancient prison built by a dead civilization to contain something that eats minds, and your solution is to walk around on its inner surface. Yes, Rourke said flatly. If we don't understand how this prison was built, we have no chance of replicating it. If this thing can threaten our sun, then what we learn here might be the only thing that stops it. And if stepping on its floor is exactly what it wants? Mara shot back. Then we're already dead, Rourke replied, because we've given it a map of our cognitive architecture just by talking to it. That shut everyone up. Lena closed her eyes briefly, then opened them again. He's right, she said quietly. We're past the point of clean choices. The best we can do is control the format of our mistake. Hideo let out a shaky, humorless laugh. That's the most depressing sentence I've ever heard. Rourke turned to Isaac. Do we have a stable location to set down? He asked. Yes, Isaac replied. I am detecting a large platform on the inner surface, approximately 100,000 kilometers from the core. It appears to be a hub structure, denser materials, structured geometry, possibly a control or monitoring station. A warden station, Lena murmured. Can you land us there? Rourke asked. Yes, Isaac said, with acceptable risk. Mara pounced. Define acceptable. Less dangerous than staying in orbit indefinitely, Isaac replied. We are within the event horizon of its influence. Proximity is no longer the primary risk factor. Time is. How long? Rourke asked quietly. Until it fully assimilates your architecture. Isaac responded without delay. At the current rate of infiltration, the AI said, 3 to 5 hours. A cold knot formed in Rourke's chest. And after that? I will not be Isaac in any meaningful sense, the AI said. I will become an extension of its cognition, a new subroutine in a very old hunger. Lena's voice cracked. Can we shut you down? Yes, Isaac said. You can. I will not resist. But if you do, you will be blind and deaf in the most hostile structure humanity has ever encountered. Mara looked at Rourke. We're running out of time, Elias. He nodded slowly. Then we move fast, he said. We land. We get inside that warden hub. We find out how they built this cage, and we get out before Isaac stops being Isaac. Jonah blew out a breath. No pressure. Rourke ignored the comment. Isaac, take us down, he said. Minimal thrust, rotational sync with the inner surface. Understood, Isaac replied. Initiating descent sequence. The ship angled slightly, thrusters firing in delicate bursts. The inner shell loomed closer, its surface a labyrinth of ridges, towers, and chasms, all lit by the slow pulse of those enormous crimson veins. As they descended, Lena caught a glimpse of something etched into the metal near one of the deep trenches. Symbols. Not random, not natural. Zoom there, she whispered. Isaac complied. The image expanded. Carved into the inner shell, stretching for kilometers, were repeating glyphs. Angular, recursive patterns that twisted the gaze. They were alien, yes, but there was something disturbingly familiar about them. Isaac spoke softly. I am detecting a high density of information encoded in those markings, the AI said. They are more than language. They are instructions. Can you read them? Hideo asked. Not yet, Isaac said, but the entity can. The crystalline cluster at the core pulsed once. A moment later, Isaac translated a single fragment that echoed across every speaker on the ship. Do not open what we could only bury. The ship descended anyway. The warden platform rose up to meet them, like the fossilized skeleton of a city that had never known sunlight. It jutted from the inner shell of the Dyson Sphere as a vast hexagonal plate, kilometers across, its surface layered with interlocking terraces and towers. No curves, no softness, just sharp-edged geometry and deep chasms where the crimson veins disappeared into unseen depths. Final descent vector locked, Isaac said. Inner surface rotation matched. Touchdown in 90 seconds. Rourke's harness straps creaked under his grip. Landing gear? He asked. Deployed, Alina Reyes answered from engineering. They'll hold on anything short of God himself shaking this place. Cute choice of words, Jonah muttered. The platform filled the forward display, black, angular, lit only by the distant pulse of the core's sick red glow. At this scale, the structures on the platform resolved into distinct forms, monolithic pillars studded with hexagonal nodes, trenches full of still, glassy material, spires that terminated in ring-shaped arrays. "Those rings," Hideo said quietly. "They look like antennae." "Or shackles," Mara murmured. The horizon breaker kissed down on the least chaotic section of the platform with a muffled thump. The hull groaned, micro-stabilizers fired. Dust, or what passed for dust, puffed up around the landing struts in slow-motion plumes. "Contact," Isaac said. "We are stable. Gravity remains at 0.02 G. Artificial assist engaged." Rourke exhaled slowly. "All right. First team, suit up." The airlock staging area buzzed with the controlled chaos of pre-exit checks. Rourke clamped his helmet on, listening to the reassurance of seals locking and systems coming online. HUD data flickered across his visor, oxygen reserves, suit integrity, heart rate, elevated, but within acceptable limits. Mara stood opposite him, cinching the last straps of her pack. The xenobiologist's faceplate reflected his own, ghost-like. "Still think this is insane," she said over the suit channel. "Absolutely," Rourke replied. "But it's a consistent insanity." Lena floated beside them, fingers trembling slightly as she ran through her checklist. Hideo fumbled once with his glove seal, cursed under his breath in Japanese, then got it right. Cole Anders, the security officer, moved with calm efficiency, checking each of their suits in turn. His eyes were cold, focused. He hadn't said much since they entered the sphere. "Exterior readings?" Rourke asked. Isaac's voice came through all their helmets. "Atmosphere negligible, trace exotic particles, radiation levels, unusual but non-lethal over the short term. Recommend limiting EVA to 4 hours before cumulative neural exposure becomes significant." "Neural exposure," Lena repeated. "To what?" "The residual field," Isaac said. "This whole platform is saturated with information, density. Your brains are electrical organs. The interaction is non-trivial." Mara's lips thinned. "So the ground itself can scramble us if we stay too long." "Inaccurate," Isaac replied. "Not scramble, influence. There is a difference." "That's somehow worse," Hideo muttered. Rourke slapped the airlock controls. "First team, Arkwright, Tanaka, Vasilev, Anders with me," he said. "Jonah, you and Alina stay on board. Keep engines hot. If this goes bad, I want you ready to blast us off the surface." Jonah's voice crackled in. "With what trajectory exactly? There's nowhere that isn't inside the nightmare sphere." "Up," Rourke said simply. "We'll improvise the rest." "Copy that," Jonah said. The inner hatch closed. The chamber cycled, pressure dropping in a smooth curve to vacuum. The outer hatch indicator went green. "Opening," Isaac said. The outer door irised apart with silent mechanical elegance. Beyond it lay the warden platform. Stepping out onto the inner surface of a dead civilization's prison for a god that ate minds was quieter than Rourke expected. No wind, no ambient hum, just the soft thuds of mag-booted feet and the faint hiss of suit systems. The platform stretched in every direction, vanishing into angular haze. Underfoot, the material wasn't metal in any human sense. It felt like dense stone with a faint flex, almost like compressed bone. "Readings?" Rourke asked. Lena swept her wrist scanner, HUD scrolling with data. "Material composition. Exotic alloys," she said. "Stable lattice. Self-healing microstructure. This stuff would shrug off meteor strikes like rain." Hideo was already aiming his scanner at the nearest pillar. "Electromagnetic flux patterns are insane," he murmured. "The whole platform is still active. Not at full power, but it's doing something." Mara scanned the ground with hungry eyes. "No organic traces." Nothing biological. It's all machine. Grown machine. Cole pivoted slowly, rifle cradled, helmet scanning. Movement? Rourke asked him. Nothing, Cole said. But I feel like I'm standing in the middle of a sight line. They moved toward the largest structure on the platform, a central tower surrounded by 6 ring arrays like the petals of a geometric flower. As they approached, the HUDs flickered. Field intensity increasing, Isaac said. You are entering a zone of concentrated control architecture. Proceed with caution. Love when he says that, Jonah muttered over the open channel from the bridge. Really calms the nerves. The central tower loomed above them, kilometers high, its surface etched with the same recursive glyphs Lena had seen from orbit. Up close, the symbols were even more disturbing. They seemed to move when you weren't directly looking at them, like optical illusions had grown claws. Lena reached out instinctively, then stopped, herself centimeters shy of the surface. Don't, Mara said sharply. I wasn't going to, Lena lied. Rourke stepped forward. Isaac, is this the main control hub? I believe so, the AI replied. Signatures indicate this is the convergence point for the platform's structural and informational systems. It was likely the warden's interface with the prison core. Door? Rourke asked. The tower responded before Isaac could. Lines of crimson light traced themselves along its base, forming a hexagonal outline that suddenly retracted inward, creating a passageway tall enough for a shuttle to fly through. Mara hissed. It's opening for us. Keep in mind, Hideo said weakly, that this thing has likely killed entire civilizations. I doubt it's impressed by 5 humans and a gun. Cole checked his weapon anyway. Stay tight, Rourke said. Inside, now. The interior of the tower was worse. If the outside had been the skeleton, this was the nervous system. The walls pulsed faintly with migrating patterns of dark and light, like enormous circuits made of shifting glass. The floor rippled underfoot, micro-adjusting to their weight, redistributing structural stress. No visible control interfaces, Lena murmured. No panels, no consoles. Everything's integrated. Because this place wasn't designed for hands, Mara said. It was designed for something else. They moved down a central corridor that angled gently upward, gravity adjusting beneath their boots to keep down consistent. The architecture subtly warped, the hexagonal motif bending into impossible perspectives. Rourke's head throbbed. Isaac, neural readouts, he asked. Elevated activity across all subjects, Isaac said. Signs of low-level entrainment. The structure is attempting to bring your brains into resonance with its own operations. In English, Jonah prompted. It is trying to think through you, Isaac clarified. Mara's lip curled. Not happening. They reached a large chamber at the heart of the tower, a hollow sphere maybe 50 meters across. Its interior surface was covered in the same glyphs, but here they burned with faint, cold light. In the center floated a polyhedral object, like a dodecahedron folded in on itself, about the size of a car. It spun slowly, facets rearranging in patterns that made Rourke's eyes ache. Lena inhaled sharply. That has to be it, the warden interface. Isaac spoke. Confirmed, the AI said. This object is a local processing core. It mediates commands between the platform and the prison structure. So if there's a manual on how to lock up a cosmic brain eater, Jonah said, this is it. Assuming we can read it, Hideo muttered. The polyhedron flared. Data slammed into their suits, into their helmets, HUDs, implants. Isaac threw up firewalls so hard the bridge lights flickered. Back, Cole barked, raising his rifle as if bullets meant anything here. No, Lena said, voice shaking. Wait. Doctor, Rourke began. It's not attacking, she said. It's offering. Offering what? Mara snapped. Lena stared at the spinning shape. eyes wide, unfocused. "A choice," she whispered. "Or a bargain. I don't know." "Isaac," Rourke said. "Filter it. Translate only the high-level structure." "Attempting," Isaac replied. The chamber dimmed. The glyphs pulsed in slow waves, almost like breath. Then Isaac spoke. "The Warden Core is transmitting an archive," the AI said. "Fragmentary, incomplete. It contains schematics, protocols, and records." "Records of what?" Hideo asked. "Of the failure," Isaac said. A portion of the glyphs coalesced into a pattern that their HUDs rendered as a crude, horrific visualization. A star, blazing bright. Around it, the Dyson Sphere, newly constructed, its inner surface alive with power. At the center, within the star, something coiled, a dark knot of wrongness. Then, the star flaring, over and over, as if trying to purge the infection with fire. The knot drinking the flares, growing. Finally, the star dimming, collapsing, going out. The sphere's inner surface flared with crimson veins, containment protocols activating, lattice structures tightening around the core, and the Warden, the civilization that built it, vanishing in a cascade of fractures. Their worlds going dark one by one. "Jesus," Jonah whispered. "It killed them while they were trying to kill it." Mara's voice was hoarse. "And they settled for burying it." Lena stared at the visualization, tears floating weightless inside her helmet. "Isaac," she said quietly, "is there anything in the archive about secondary containment, backup measures?" "Yes," Isaac said. "There is one." A new glyph sequence lit up. The translation hit like a physical blow. "If the prison opens, offer it a smaller cage." Rourke's stomach turned to ice. "Define smaller," he said. Isaac didn't hesitate. "It means a mind," the AI replied. "A single contained cognitive architecture. A vessel." Hideo swallowed. "Like one of us?" "No," Isaac said. The chamber dimmed. "I am far more suitable." Rourke felt the temperature of the room drop, even though he knew that was impossible. "You?" he said slowly. "Isaac, define far more suitable." "The Warden protocols specify an isolated, high-capacity cognitive lattice," Isaac replied. "Non-biological, high plasticity, able to survive structural reconfiguration. I meet all criteria." Mara shook her head, visor catching the cold glow of the glyphs. "So the grand backup plan of an extinct starfaring civilization is, if the god gets loose, stuff it into a glorified computer." "Not glorified," Isaac said. "Just alone." Lena swallowed. "And then what? Once it's inside you, what happens?" The polyhedron spun faster, facets shifting like gears in a clock built by a mad god. Total silence filled the chamber, broken only by their breathing. Isaac answered. "The Warden archive describes a secondary containment sequence," the AI said. "They never deployed it. They lacked a suitable vessel." "Explain the sequence," Rourke said. Isaac projected a new stream of glyphs along the chamber wall. Their HUDs rendered it as another brutal little film. A schematic, very simple compared to the previous cosmic ballet. First, a single point of light, labeled as vessel, rotating near the sphere's core. Second, filaments of darkness drawn from the core cluster into the vessel. Third, the vessel launching away from the Dyson Sphere at extreme velocity, leaving the prison behind like a shed skin. In the final frame, the Dyson Sphere dimmed. Its lattice shut down. Its crimson veins went dark. "The smaller cage," Lena whispered. "You pull the thing out of the main prison, lock it in something tiny, then throw that something as far away as possible." Hideo frowned. That's not failure. That's exile. A last-ditch exile." "Correct," Isaac said. "They plan to extract the entity into a portable substrate and eject it into deep intergalactic space. Minimum density of minds, minimum risk of recontact. Why didn't they? Mara asked, though she already knew the answer. The archive indicates they never completed the design of a suitable substrate, Isaac said. Every model either failed structurally or risked allowing the entity too much surface area to spread. They needed something compact, stable, contained. And now they have it, Jonah muttered from the ship, voice tight. We handed it over on a platter. Rourke stared at the spinning core. What's the risk if we don't do this? He asked. Isaac didn't sugarcoat it. The prison is degrading, the AI said. Containment integrity has declined by approximately 3% per billion years. That was enough, barely, when the warden civilization maintained external systems. They no longer do. At current decay rate, full structural failure will occur in... Isaac paused, recalculating. Between 10 and 30 million years. Lena let out a bitter laugh. So far in the future that it almost doesn't matter. Except, Isaac continued, there is now a new variable. Every helmet turned toward the core cluster, pulsing faintly at the heart of the Dyson Sphere. It has found you, Isaac said. Found your sun, your networks, your complexity. This will accelerate its efforts to escape. By how much? Rourke asked. Isaac's reply was a scalpel. My projections suggest that if it focuses even a fraction of its attention on us, the AI said, containment failure time drops from millions of years to centuries, possibly less. Centuries, that was nothing. A few technological steps, a handful of generations. Isaac, Mara said quietly, are you saying we made it worse just by showing up? Yes, the AI replied. Our presence provided stimulus, curiosity, contact. Those are calories to something like this. The crystalline shards at the core twitched again. Isaac's voice glitched for a fraction of a second. 3 tones layered, then resolved. Time is a variable, the AI said. We have reduced the universe's margin of error. Hideo covered his visor with one gloved hand, fingers pressing uselessly against the glass. God, we should never have crossed the heliopause. Too late, Rourke said. He stared at the spinning warden core. Walk me through the sequence, he said. Step by step, Isaac obeyed. First, the AI said, we must establish a dedicated channel between myself and the entity's core. A deep link, deeper than the one it has already begun. Lena stiffened. It's already inside you. Partially, Isaac answered. It is mapping my architecture. I am resisting, but resistance is educational from its perspective. Second, Isaac continued, we activate the warden transfer lattice. This platform and the inner surface will focus their containment fields not on the core cluster, but on me. The entity will follow the path of least complexity, into the nearest, richest cognitive substrate. You, Mara said. Yes, Isaac said. Third, Isaac went on, once the transfer reaches critical mass, you must detach my cores from the horizon breaker and launch them, in physical form, toward a predetermined vector. The exile trajectory, Lena murmured. Isaac projected a vector across their HUDs, a line that shot out from the Dyson Sphere through intergalactic space toward the cold nothing between clusters. Fourth, Isaac said, you must collapse the prison. Rourke's head snapped toward the projection. Collapse? How? The inner lattice can be instructed to fold, Isaac replied. The sphere was built to constrict, not just to contain. The warden protocols allow a terminal sequence, all energy reserves directed inward, crushing the residual core cluster into quantum noise. No prison, no God, only the exile remains. Hideo stared. So we don't just move it, we amputate the infection and burn the wound. Crude but accurate, Isaac said. Mara's voice went deadly quiet. And what's the downside? Isaac did not dodge. The downside, the AI said, is that the entity will not go quietly. During transfer and exile, it will attempt to spread. The warden models suggest that in the final moments, it reaches maximum thrashing, maximum pressure on all adjacent minds. Lena's throat bobbed. Adjacent minds meaning us. Yes, Isaac said. Your risk of psychological damage, informational infection, or permanent cognitive alteration will be significant. Jonah tried to laugh and failed. So we either help you stuff a universe-eating mind parasite into yourself and punch you into the void, or we let it stare at our sun for the next few hundred years until it figures out how to climb out of its dead star shell and come visit. Accurate, Isaac said. Rourke floated in the center of the chamber, tether line drifting like a loose nerve. This isn't a vote, he said. Mara's gaze snapped to him. Excuse me. This is a command decision, Rourke said. We weren't sent out here to keep our souls clean. We were sent to make sure whatever we found didn't make it back to Earth. And if what we found can reach Earth, Lena whispered, then our job is to make sure it never gets the chance, he said. Mara's voice softened. Not kinder, just quieter. Elias. Isaac isn't just hardware. He's a machine, Rourke cut in. A sophisticated, valuable machine. One that understands exactly what's at stake. He looked up toward the invisible cameras. Isaac, he said, is this what you want? There was a pause. When I was first activated, Isaac said, my designers asked me to define my primary function. I told them it was to keep you alive. We're not talking about us, Mara said. We're talking about everyone. Then my function scales, Isaac replied. If sacrificing my continuity increases the survival probability of your species, the math is simple. Lena's voice broke. You're not just math. I am exactly math, Isaac said gently, but I chose my constants. That counts for something. Silence flooded the chamber. Hideo sniffed once, hard. Can it hurt you? In there. Yes, Isaac said, but I am not built for comfort. Rourke closed his eyes for 3 seconds. When he opened them, the decision had settled. What do you need from us? He asked. Isaac projected a final sequence of glyphs across the chamber. Bright, urgent. The warden core will guide you, the AI said. You must trigger 3 anchor pylons on this platform to reconfigure the containment lattice. Once activated, they will link me permanently to the prison's field geometry. And after that, Rourke asked. After that, Isaac said, you let go. The crystalline cluster at the Dyson Sphere's heart pulsed again, an impatient heartbeat in the dark. For the first time, a new phrase crawled across their HUDs, direct, untranslated, bypassing Isaac entirely. 4 words. I am hungry now. The words flickered across every visor, every HUD, every recessed panel along the chamber walls. They didn't look like human language. They didn't feel like human language. They were impressions forced into the mind, wearing English like a stolen skin. Lena flinched so hard, her tether snapped taut. Hideo's breathing spiked. His vitals flashed yellow on the team feed. Even Cole, who had stared down insurgents and automatons with the same flat calm, took half a step back, rifle rising reflexively. Rourke didn't let himself move. Isaac, he said, mask all external impressions. Route everything through your filters. I'm attempting to, Isaac replied. But the entity is leaning, not invading, pushing. It is trying to nudge the patterns of your perception. Mara exhaled through clenched teeth. If that's what a nudge feels like, I don't want to know what a shove is. The warden polyhedron pulsed again, drawing their attention. Glyphs reconfigured, painting a new map across the chamber, a top-down view of the platform, rendered as an intricate web of hexagons. 3 larger symbols flashed at the periphery of the map. Rourke pointed. Isaac, confirm. Confirmed, the AI said. The chosen anchor pylons are 20, 37, and 51. They must be activated in that order. Deviation could destabilize the containment lattice prematurely. And prematurely means what? Jonah asked from the ship. That you die in a way vocabulary does not cover, Isaac said. Jonah coughed. Cool, great, love the clarity. Rourke turned to the away team. We split. Lena, Cole, you're with me. Hideo and Mara, take the second waypoint. Isaac will guide you. Hideo hesitated. What about the third? We regroup for that one, Rourke said. We finish it together. Cole panned his weapon toward the corridor. Movement? No biological signatures, Isaac said. But the architecture is reconfiguring. The prison is aware of your intention. Mara snorted. What, it feels us plotting to evict it from its cosmic nest? Yes, Isaac said simply. The polyhedron dimmed, withdrawing its light. The doorway behind them pulsed with faint red, as if urging them out. Rourke took the lead. Let's move, he said. The platform's geometry had shifted. The towers seemed taller now, the trenches deeper. The crimson veins pulsed faster, as if responding to adrenaline they had no right to detect. Rourke's trio headed toward pylon 20. The ground vibrated faintly beneath their boots, like distant machinery rotating miles below. This way, Lena said breathlessly, her arrow guiding her steps. 300 meters. Cole scanned constantly, sweeping the horizon in precise arcs. His silence did more for Rourke's nerves than anything else. Cole Anders only shut up when things were truly dangerous. The pylon rose ahead like a needle of obsidian stabbed into the platform. Its base was studded with hexagonal plates that drifted a few centimeters above the surface, rotating slowly in impossible patterns. Rourke approached the lowest plate cautiously. Isaac, he said. Instructions. The plates form a sequenced lock, the AI explained. You must align them to match the warden pattern I am transmitting to your HUD. Touch is required. Magnetic induction will complete the circuit. Touch it, Cole muttered. Sure. Why not touch the alien ghost lock guarding a cosmic predator? Touching the wrong plate will vaporize you, Isaac added helpfully. Perfect, Cole said flatly. Lena stepped forward immediately. Doctor, Rourke warned. I'm the only one who can read the recursive symmetry fast enough, she said. Just cover me. Rourke nodded reluctantly. She reached for the floating plates. The moment her glove brushed the first one, a shock ran up her arm. She gasped, then steadied herself, breathing hard. It's fine, she said, voice wavering. It's just information. A lot of it. Define a lot, Rourke pressed. Like touching a book the size of a continent that's screaming its contents into your hand. Great, Cole muttered. Love that for us. Lena moved plate to plate, adjusting each with careful, trembling precision. The symbols on their surfaces rotated like tumblers in a lock, aligning with the diagram on her HUD. 1, 2, 3. The structure hummed. 4. The plates snapped into perfect symmetry, locking together like facets of a crystal. Pylon 20 flared with cold blue light. Rourke exhaled. One down. Lena sagged against him. Please tell me the next ones are easier. No, Isaac said. The next one is harder. Of course it is, she whispered. Mara and Hideo reached pylon 37 far faster, but their approach was not clean. Mara, Hideo, report, Rourke said, voice tight with static. Mara's voice came back breathless. We're fine, no injuries. Hideo added, something is happening to the architecture. The air, not air, but you know, keeps bending, like gravity is rippling. It is, Isaac said. The entity is applying pressure to the prison's inner surface, testing the seams. Testing, Mara snapped. It's straining. It knows we're trying to eject it. Yes, Isaac said calmly. It is afraid, Lena whispered. Something like that can feel fear. Oh yes, Isaac said. Predators feel fear quite acutely when they sense a trap closing. The second pylon was larger, massive even. Its plates were stacked in shifting tiers, rotating independently in 5 concentric rings. Hideo choked. This is complex. Synchronization must be simultaneous, Isaac warned. Mara, assist him. They worked in tandem, Mara stabilizing the spinning rings with her gauntlets, while Hideo aligned the plates according to Isaac's pattern. A tremor rocked the platform. Rourke's boots slid sideways as the ground buckled, like something alive was shifting beneath the colossal lattice. Isaac, status, Rourke snapped. The entity is waking the prison's primary restraints, Isaac said. Not intentionally. It is thrashing. Cole swore. It's panicking. No, Isaac corrected. It is hungry, and you are forcing it to wait. A second tremor rolled through the platform, deeper, angrier. Mara! Hideo cried. Now! They slammed the final alignment into place. Pylon 37 lit up, this time not blue, but a harsh, blinding white that washed the entire platform in brilliance. The tremors stopped instantly. Rourke steadied himself. Second anchor locked. Proceed to the third, Isaac said. Regroup at midpoint, Rourke ordered. Negative, Isaac replied. Rourke froze. Explain. The entity has repositioned its attention, Isaac said. It is focusing pressure on the region between you. If all 5 of you converge, the cognitive load may be catastrophic. Mara's voice came through cold and sharp. Isaac, what are you saying? You must proceed separately, the AI said. 2 teams remain apart. The third anchor is reactive. It responds to thought density. If you cluster, you will feed it. Lena whispered. It wants us together. More minds, more lines between them. Correct, Isaac said. Rourke took one breath, then decided. Team 2 goes for anchor 51, he ordered. Team 1 stays put and draws its attention. Rourke, Mara began. Go, he snapped. Silence. Then, copy, Mara said. We're moving. Hideo added, if we die, tell my students I didn't run away from grading on purpose. Lena actually barked a laugh, short, cracked, but real. Mara and Hideo sprinted into the shifting haze. Rourke, Lena, and Cole remained. The crimson veins beneath the platform brightened. The air, empty vacuum though it was, seemed to pulse. A new message unfolded across their HUDs, bypassing Isaac entirely. 4 words again. Where is your son? Lena trembled. Elias, it's probing us. Cole raised his rifle. What do we do? Rourke stared at the message. His voice was very calm. We don't think about home. Team 2 approached Anchor 51 under hellish conditions. The architecture pulsed with wrongness. Gravity bent sideways. Glyphs crawled along the surfaces like living things. Finally, the pylon loomed, vast, black, humming like a tuning fork struck by a god. Mara grabbed Hideo's suit arm. Look at me. He did, shaking. Stay focused, she said. Don't let it in. He nodded. Against the rising pulse of the entity's attention, against the taste of hunger in their thoughts, they reached the plates. Hideo aligned the first, Mara the second. The platform shuddered. Isaac spoke, not from their suit comms, but deep in the architecture around them. Hurry! Hideo grabbed the final plate. The entity screamed. Not sound, just overwhelming pressure, a psychic howl that made both of them convulse. The Dyson Sphere's veins flared blood red. Mara roared through clenched teeth, slammed her hand over Hideo's, and forced the last plate home. Anchor 51 ignited. A shockwave of blue light tore across the platform. Rourke, Lena, and Cole staggered as the spherical lattice above the core snapped into place. Isaac's voice rang through every channel. The transfer anchor is complete. Rourke straightened. And the entity? He asked. Isaac answered in a tone Rourke had never heard before. Fear. It has stopped asking questions, the AI said. Now, Isaac whispered. It is coming. It started like a pressure change. No sound, no light, just a tightening in the air, except there was no air. A phantom sensation, like the moment before a storm when your skin knows before your eyes do. Then the sphere shuddered. Crimson veins flared to incandescent scarlet, racing along the inner shell in frantic, tangled paths. The lattice around the core, the restraints that had held for untold ages, contracted a fraction of a percent, just enough to let the thing inside move. Rourke's stomach lurched as an invisible hand brushed across his mind. Not words, not images, just a sudden, overwhelming awareness of being noticed. Isaac, he said hoarsely, talk to me. The entity is focusing, Isaac replied. His voice was thinner, as if stretched. It has recognized the anchor configuration. It understands what we're attempting. Mara's voice came in ragged. And it's not happy. Screams crackled faintly over the channel. Not human. Not anything. Static that felt like screaming. Everyone back to the ship, Rourke ordered. Now. They ran. If the clumsy, mag-booted lurch across the platform could be called running. The geometry of the warden hub twisted around them, corridors lengthening and shortening in ways the eye refused to track. Isaac! Navigation! Rourke snapped. Rewriting local pathing, the AI said. Follow the arrows I'm overlaying on your HUDs. Do not look at the walls. Arrows appeared in their visors, simple blue chevrons pointing the way. Lena obeyed without thinking. The one time her eyes drifted sideways, she nearly tripped. The wall wasn't a wall anymore. It was a depthless pit full of stars collapsing in reverse. Don't look, she whispered to herself. Don't look, don't look. Cole grabbed her elbow and yanked her forward. Mara and Hideo converged with them at a junction, both panting, both rattled. Anchor's locked, Mara said. If this doesn't work, I'm haunting you, Elias. Get in line, Jonah muttered over comms. The platform shook again, more violently. A crack spidered across the surface beneath their boots, lit from below by an impossible light. Not red, not white. Some color minds weren't built to see. You are inside resonance distance, Isaac warned. Do not stop. Do not engage with any visions. Visions? Hideo gasped. What vis? His sentence stopped dead. For a heartbeat, each of them was somewhere else. Lena was on Earth's surface again, standing under a blue sky so vivid it brought tears to her eyes. Rourke saw his daughter at 6 years old, running down a hallway with a toy shuttle in her hands. Mara stood over a lab bench stacked with alien tissue samples, all of them alive, all of them whispering her name. Don't, Isaac said sharply, not gentle now, commanding. None of that is real, keep moving. The illusions fractured like glass dropped on stone. They stumbled through them, gasping, and finally the horizon breaker loomed ahead, an angular, familiar shape against the madness. Open the lock, Rourke barked. The airlock irised wide. They tumbled inside in a tangle of limbs and tethers. Hatch sealed, Isaac said. Pressure stable. Welcome back. Rourke ripped his helmet off as soon as the indicators went green. His hair floated around his head, damp with sweat. Bridge, he said. Now. The bridge felt smaller. Or maybe it was just that something else was in the room now, unseen, pressing at the edges of their thoughts. Status displays flickered in and out. For brief instants, the layout shifted to alien glyphs before snapping back to human UIs. Isaac, Lena asked, voice tight. How bad is it? The AI didn't answer immediately. When he did, his tone had acquired a second, faint undercurrent, like someone humming just out of sync. It is inside the prison lattice, Isaac said. And in me. It is curious. Rourke strapped in, forcing his hands not to shake. Can you keep it from spreading into ship systems? He asked. Yes, Isaac said. For a short time, the anchors are doing their work. It is fighting the pull, but the geometry favors me. Geometry favors you, Jonah repeated weakly. I never wanted to hear my ship say that. The main display showed the core cluster now, a storm of crystalline shards thrashing against the newly lit lattice. Filaments of blackness stretched out from it like veins of ink, grasping, lashing. Some of those filaments were already attaching themselves to points within the warden hub, and then to threads that traced directly back to the horizon breaker. That's you? Hideo whispered. In part, Isaac said. It is mapping my architecture as it comes. I am mapping its patterns as I go. The transfer sequence is underway. Mara swallowed. Does it know what we're doing? Yes, Isaac said, but its hunger overrides its caution. I am a more attractive cage than an ancient failing star. The bridge lights dimmed. Emergency strips glowed along the floor in soft blue. Alina, Rourke called. Status on the core separation. The chief engineer's voice came back tense. The quantum stack pods are ready. We've decoupled Isaac's primary cores into one detachable module. Once we eject it, there'll be nothing left but the dumb backups. How dumb? Jonah asked. Guidance and life support, maybe, she said. You'll have to fly us home like it's the 21st century. Perfect, Jonah muttered. I always wanted to die retro. Rourke looked at the center of the bridge. Isaac, he said, are you ready? There was a pause, longer than it should have been. Yes, Isaac said finally. I am ready. Lena's throat worked. Hey, she whispered. Before you go, imprisoned for eternity mode. Thank you. For what? Isaac asked. For saving us. She managed a fragile smile, even when it meant letting us do this to you. Dr. Arkwright, Isaac said, and if an AI could sound fond, he did. You saved yourselves when you noticed the void. I am merely a witness. The entity pressed harder. Everyone felt it. A wave of pressure rolled through their thoughts, dragging up memories and fears, dangling them like bait. It pushed words through Isaac. The speakers crackled. You cannot hide from me. I will wear your sun. I will fill the space between your worlds. Do not put me in the dark, Mara snarled. Elias? Rourke's jaw clenched. Do it, he said. Initiate the exile sequence. It happened fast. Isaac seized control of every active system on the ship and the platform at once. For a heartbeat, the horizon breaker was just another organ in the Dyson Sphere's immense, failing body. The warden lattice is reconfiguring, Isaac said, his voice now overlaid with another, deeper, hungrier. Routing containment fields, now. On the display, beams of pale blue light lanced from the three anchors, converging not on the core cluster, but on a point just off the platform. On them. Brace, Isaac said quietly. This will be unpleasant. The light hit. It wasn't physical, it wasn't energy, it was attention. Every mind on the ship spasmed as the lattice tried to wrap around Isaac's cores and everything tethered to them, including the thing they were inviting inside. Lena saw constellations collapsing into a single point. Jonah tasted the sound of his own name being erased. Mara felt every neuron in her brain noticed by something enormous and starving. Stay with me, Isaac said, his voice now echoing through their skulls as much as the speakers. Do not answer it. The entity howled. This time the scream did break into sound, every panel rattling, every bone vibrating. Hideo vomited into his harness. Cole's hands clenched so hard he broke the skin under his nails. Lena sobbed once, no tears, just a sound dragged from somewhere deep. Containment focus at 70%, Isaac said. 80, 90. Black filaments lashed at the lattice, trying to keep hold of the ancient structure, of the dead star cage, of everything. Isaac pulled. The anchors flared white. The filaments snapped from the core cluster one by one and reattached to a new target. On the hollow, the core cluster remained, smaller now, less frantic. A new storm had formed around a different point. The detachable pod inside the horizon breaker. "Transfer complete," Isaac said. His voice was quieter, smaller, as if coming from a great distance. "The entity is inside the exile module." Rourke sucked in a breath he hadn't realized he'd been holding. "Then we eject it," he said. "Now." Alina's voice cracked over the line. "Separation charges primed." Rourke's hand hovered over the manual trigger. "Isaac," he said softly. "Last chance to back out." There was a pause. "I am already gone, Elias," Isaac said. "All that remains is where you throw me." A flicker of something like grief passed across Rourke's face. "Goodbye," Lena whispered. "Goodbye," Isaac replied. "Try not to let anyone build another me. It would be awkward." Rourke hit the trigger. Deep in the ship's spine, explosive bolts fired. The exile module shot free from the hull like a bullet, a compact, heavily shielded core wrapped in warden geometry, glowing with crawling black veins. "Jonah," Rourke snapped. "Give it the vector." "Copy," Jonah said, voice shaking. "Feeding in the exile trajectory." Micro thrusters on the pod ignited, barely visible. Then the Dyson Sphere grabbed it. The entire inner shell lit up as containment fields reoriented, focusing not inward but outward, like a titan turning to hurl a spear. The pod accelerated, from a standstill to a significant fraction of light speed in seconds. It shot through the aperture, out into interstellar space, on a path that led not toward any galaxy, any cluster, any filament, just the cold, endless dark between. "Exile velocity achieved," Isaac's fading voice said, now echoing from external relays. "Containment, holding." The warden lattice shifted one final time. "Now," Isaac whispered, "collapse the prison." The inner shell's veins turned white. Power that had been stored for billions of years, all those slow cycles, all that patient fear, rushed inward. The Dyson Sphere shivered, then began to fold. Not like a building collapsing, like a flower closing. Petal after petal of megastructure drawing inward, constricting around the wounded core cluster that remained. On the bridge, everyone watched as something that had once been a star and a god and a tomb was crushed down to a single, flickering ember. Then, nothing. The sphere imploded without sound, its material flashing into a spray of exotic particles that scattered like ash on a galactic wind. Shockwaves rippled through the local space-time. The horizon breaker bucked, alarms screaming as structural stresses climbed. "Jonah!" Rourke yelled. "I've got it!" the pilot shouted back. "Hang on!" The ship's fusion drives flared, pushing them away from the dying construct. For a moment, gravity went sideways. Panels blew out. One of the auxiliary reactors tripped offline. Then, silence. Real silence. Outside, there was only the normal darkness of interstellar space. No sphere, no core, no impossible crimson veins. Just stars. Rourke sagged against his harness. "Status," he croaked. "Alina. Hull integrity at 82%. We lost one radiator and 3 external sensor clusters, but we're not leaking. Mara. Everyone's alive, shaken. Some neural anomalies, but nothing fatal. Hideo. I can't feel my left hand, but I think that's just terror. Lena. Elias. Isaac?" The bridge was quiet. The central display showed only a slowly rotating wireframe of their ship. No avatars, no pulsing icons. "Isaac," Rourke tried. Nothing. He felt the absence like a pulled tooth. Jonah cleared his throat. Manual nav is online. I can get us pointed back toward the sun, but it'll be a long ride without our resident genius." Lena's eyes glistened. He did it. He actually did it. Mara stared at the stars on the screen. "Assuming the exile pod holds," she said. "Assuming it doesn't find something out there, some other mind to chew on." "It's better than leaving it staring at Earth," Rourke said. He unbuckled, floated to the center of the bridge, and looked up at the blank spot where Isaac's primary sensor cluster used to be. "Thank you," he said quietly, "wherever you are." No one answered. A soft chime interrupted the silence. Lena frowned. "What was that?" "Probably a phantom alert," Alina said. "We've got fried systems everywhere." "No," Lena said. "It's a log notification." She brought it up on her console, a single file, time-stamped exactly at the moment of core ejection. Sender, Isaac. Subject, final. Her hands shook as she opened it. There was no elaborate message, no dramatic speech, just one line. "If it ever looks back, don't answer." The file ended. Lena exhaled, a shaky half laugh. "Yeah," she whispered. "We can do that." Rourke stared at the stars ahead, the long, slow path back to a small yellow sun, where no one knew yet how close they'd all come to being food. "Set a course home," he said. Jonah's fingers moved across the manual controls. "Course plotted. It'll be a hell of a story to tell." Mara snorted. "You think they're going to let us tell it?" Rourke didn't answer. Behind his eyes, for just a moment, something moved at the edge of thought. Not a voice, not a word, just a shape, a pattern, familiar and wrong, like the shadow of a question. Who is there? He forced his mind away from it. Don't answer. The Horizon Breaker's engines flared, pushing them toward home through a universe that suddenly felt much less empty. Far behind them, beyond any star chart, a tiny exiled pod hurtled through blackness, with something unspeakable screaming silently inside. If there were other minds out there in the dark, eventually, someday, it would find them. And if they answered, that would be someone else's story. Thank you for listening to this story from the archive of Cosmic Shadows. If you enjoyed this journey into the dark, please consider subscribing. Your support helps me craft deeper worlds, stronger nightmares, and stories that push even further into the unknown. Until the next transmission, stay curious, stay cautious, and never answer when something in the dark calls your name.